When the Brooklyn Dodgers moved to Los Angeles in 1958, they needed to introduce themselves to the people of Southern California. The Dodgers owner, Walter O'Malley, knew that his young announcer, Vince Scully, would be a perfect ambassador for the team and the sport. But O'Malley also knew that there was another potential fan base that they needed to connect with, a community already familiar with the game. They just needed a voice to speak to them. His name was JAIME JARRÍN.
My father's cousin thought my father had a talent and a good sounding voice that maybe he would have a career in radio. At the age of 16 years old, he started going to a radio station in Quito that was run by American missionaries and was given assignments first hosting cultural events, and then eventually at the age of 17, he was given the assignment to cover the National Congress. It was at this time that my father met my mom. He fell in love, they started dating, and a couple of years later, they were married. My mom said, you know, I think we should see about immigrating to the United States. So he kind of flipped a coin, and it came up LA. He immediately looked up what radio stations were broadcasting in Spanish. It turned out there was only one, KWKW in Pasadena. And he was on a remote that was being done at a furniture store, and there was a big crowd, and he was wondering, well, what the heck is this? It was the 1955 World Series being televised between the Brooklyn Dodgers and the New York Yankees. He had no idea. He had never seen a baseball game.
Even though his baseball knowledge was limited, KWKW station manager William Beaton gave him 1 year to get ready, and in 1959, JARRÍN joined as a full-time member in the broadcast booth, and JAIME would go on to become the longest tenured broadcaster in baseball.
Batazo profundo al jardín derecho. La pelota se va y despídela con un beso. Cuadrangular dramático de Finley y da el campeonato a los Dodgers.
As the years went by, Jaime's connection with the Latino community grew. Actually, that community exploded in 1981, when a young left-hander from Navajo, Mexico, burst on the scene, and the phenomenon known as Fernando Mania put La Voz Detrás Dodgers Baseball in front of the camera.
El público se pone de pie, tributa una ovación, de pie a Fernando Valenzuela.
My father is known for being a Hall of Fame broadcaster in baseball and having covered like 28 World Series and I don't know how many no-hitters. But at the same time, my father was also the news director, which gave him an opportunity to cover things which are really part of his passion, the journalistic aspect of bringing the news and stories to the community. It was November of 1963 when President Kennedy was assassinated. My father was the only Spanish language reporter from the United States to cover that exclusively. My father was just resourceful. He thought, I don't know anyone in Washington. At that time, there was only one Latino congressman, Congressman Ed Roybal. And the congressman said, Jaime, I will make all the arrangements. They got him a radio man, equipment, and my father broadcast in a very hushed, quiet tone. In the rotunda, he was not more than 20 feet away from Mrs. Kennedy when she first came to kneel in front of the casket and pay her respects. He covered the Chicano moratorium against the war in Vietnam. He was present when Ruben Salazar was accidentally shot and killed by the Los Angeles County sheriffs. He also covered the assassination of Robert Kennedy here at the Ambassador Hotel. He covered the Thriller from Manila and the golden era of Mexican boxers in Los Angeles at the Olympic Auditorium. My father has had such a wide range of varied career between baseball and boxing and heartbreaking news stories.
In 1998, Jaime was the recipient of the Ford C. Frick Award.
I accept this high honor today, not in my own name, but on behalf of millions of persons around the world who have come to love this great game as I did 40 years ago when I began my baseball career.
When my mom passed away, We thought the best way to honor her memory was to establish the JAIME and Blanca JARRÍN Foundation. My mom was always about giving back. So it was only natural that this was the right thing to do, to help not only perpetuate my dad's legacy, but also to honor the memory of my mom and her generosity. You know, when my father first immigrated here, it was all about assimilation. But then that turned into acculturation, where you pick and choose the best aspects of your newly adopted country and retain the important cultural aspects of where you came from in your heritage. And I just can't tell you how important it is, not just to come to this country, but to become involved in the fabric of the society.
La pelota se va, se va, se va y despídala con un beso.